Welcome back to the MOMLINE. We are on episode number 6. I am Chana Rachel.
And I'm Orpaz Levy.
And I'm Melissa Sussman.
Our special new guest.
We're very excited to have her.
We are very excited.
Joining us today.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on your episode number 6.
So today we're going to be speaking about tips for survival in marriage. It's not only just surviving in marriage, but also thriving in marriage. What do you have to say about this topic, Orpaz?
Well, I said this is a loaded topic, but first and foremost, as the head of the household, the parents, I call them the king and the queen in the house. And that is number one in a family. In order to have a happy family, happy home, the two parents need to be in the happiest place and in sync. And they're the ones who are leading it. And that's the most important. Shalom Bayit is number one for beginning. It's like the base that we talked about, like the Maslow's. There it is. That's the foundation for succeeding and thriving in life.
I think once the kids come also, it's very hard to stick to the things that really make you thrive, because suddenly you're taking the full focus from a little bubble of love that you have with your husband to taking care of these human beings.
That's right. And that's why I just was thinking about this, and I mentioned this before we started the podcast, was that Taras Mishpacha, for example, it's the family purity laws, but whose mitzvah is that? That's the woman's mitzvah. And it's really the woman's mitzvah to be the lead in the family in terms of shalom and kind of pushing her husband or steering him in such a way that he's on board with everything she does. And we're really the people in charge of that. What are some techniques?
What are your magic tips that you have for us?
Yeah, I would love to hear.
Baruch Hashem, we just celebrated 19 years anniversary
Wow,
last week. Thank you. Holding it all through, lots of kids and craziness and moving and making aliyah and ups and downs and business and whatever. Keeping each other as our best friends and remembering that you're my best friend. And at the end of the day, at night, that's I want to be with you. I want to hang out with you. It was I remember during Corona, when we had all the lockdowns and all the kids were home, it was just so intense. Not to mention, there was so much stress, in my husband's company and the world, the world was coming to an end.
Yeah. Right.
And it was so stressful. And at the end of the day, I just wanted everyone to go to sleep. I'm I just want to be with you, just be quiet and just have each other. And when you know that you have each other,
right.
You know that you can go through anything. And
that's right.
I remember, and I tell my kids also, I'm and they're when we go out to dates, I tell them that it's so important. I'm not gonna bend and we're going out.
Yeah.
And they look at me where are you going without us? How dare you? I'm I'm going out with my boyfriend. He's my boyfriend. And when they do something or when they get mad at us or something like that, we say that I'm don't do that to my boyfriend, or he just does the same thing to me.
And I think kids secretly love that.
Yeah.
I think they love it. And I think even when you say mommy and daddy are just going out tonight, even though they're upset that they're not coming, the fact that their parents get along gives them such deep safety and inner nachas and peace.
Yeah.
And I think that there's something to that, what you're saying.
Yeah, it's a foundation.
Yeah. Having your spouse as your best friends. I remember over the summer, my husband and I went away. The kids were in sleepaway camp. And it was wow, if we could do this all the time, just you and I, we'd be coasting through life. Obviously, the problems and all those things come up and, shalom sometimes loses its shalom because of those issues that arise. But knowing that you have that solid foundation where someone's your best friend and you enjoy each other so much, that makes all the difference. So I really relate to what you're saying.
I wouldn't say make them your best friend, because there's something very platonic about best friend. I would say make them your counterpart. The best thing for me is just spending time. It's booking time to spend with your husband.
And making it a priority and locking it in. Otherwise, it doesn't happen.
Right.
And another week goes by, and there's some days where I'm so tired and I'm wiped. And the last thing I want to do is get out of the house and get dressed right now. But when I do it, and when I make sure I'm we're going out tonight because we said we're going to do it, and we're going, I'm so tired and whatever. But then I get dressed and I get pretty and I feel beautiful after, doing dinner around here where I feel like a cleaning lady.
Right.
And I get dressed and we go out and we're wow. And then we had this beautiful thing, and Baruch Hashem, this person just got engaged, but he's nearing 30 and he saw us walking around one day in Yerushalayim on a date. And we were just lovey-dovey walking around the shuk, holding hands. And he was sitting with a friend having a beer and he was all we want is to be you guys. When
Oh,
we
so
just
cute.
want to
What a
have someone to
compliment.
walk with and like be with at night. You guys look like you're such good friends. Like, you know, like I felt so good. I was like, yes, that's what people should say. Like, that's Kiddush Hashem for me.
Specific tips how to keep up that excitement? Like, what do you do?
The date nights that we said.
Routine date nights, no matter what.
Routine date nights
Yes.
to make it
Storm,
happen.
rain.
Once a week,
no
once
matter
a
what.
month. What are we talking?
We have it once a week.
Okay.
Once a week.
And
And
you
even
already
if you
have
don't go out,
babysitters
like
at
when I
home.
had younger kids, it was easier to do it at home, and you know
Right.
you can sit around. Everyone goes to sleep at 7:00, so you have a quiet home.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen around here anymore unless I lock the door behind our bedroom. But it's not so fun anymore just to hang out there. So we go out. But I used to hang out at home and call it a date night and bring out wine and relax and have some cheese and make it, special.
Is it always
not
food?
like,
Is it always only food? I can't stand it that it's only food.
it doesn't have to always be
Right?
food.
Food
doesn't.
isn't romantic.
We go to stand-up comedy.
Yeah,
we go to a
stand-up
show.
comedy we love.
Movies are boring. They just make me fall asleep these days.
Stand-up,
Yeah,
interesting.
Let's stand up, just get a good laugh, and then we
Yeah.
laugh about it, and we come back and we had a good
Yeah.
time. So that's been our
Okay.
go-to recently, and going to like music concerts. We
Right.
love.
Something that we started doing.
Yes,
I mean,
tell us what
okay.
you do.
So
What are your secrets?
So whenever, it's mostly David, but like sometimes I'll do it too. But when he goes away, he'll write like these little notes that I'll find randomly around the house. Like I remember once I found a note in the tissue box. It goes, "I hope this sneeze didn't cause your heart to stop for longer than 5 seconds," or something like, funny.
Men are so much better at doing that.
Yeah. I'm not really that great at being. I'm not like.
I'm glad to hear that I'm not the only one.
And I also know that our love languages are very different.
Right.
So, like, his love language is touch. I don't really like touching people.
My husband is definitely the more romantic one who
Yeah.
leaves notes and stuff. I'm like in the mode, I'm like in the zone when I'm at home, and he's like, "Why don't you think about me?" Why? I'm like, "I think about you all the time," but I have like so many other things to think about, and
What keeps our marriage alive is trying new things together.
Yeah.
It's like for example, going to the hot springs in Hamat Gader the other week. We've never been to this like nature reserve, and
That's beautiful.
in the beginning he was like, "Where are you taking me? What is this?" And we just went, and it was so good, and it was seeing him in his happy place, and then and also writing like cute little messages for each other. I think sometimes when you can't get things over with your words, I think when you try other mediums, it really penetrates deeper. And this is going to sound really, really wild, but it's also having arguments.
Oh yeah.
I think every
where
single
the spice
time
comes in.
we've had an argument, we always end up feeling like so relieved and so much closer to each other. And it's just, I feel like that's the recipe for a happy marriage. Honestly,
I learned the coolest thing actually. Ezer Kenegdo, right? It's love helpmate or whatever, or love and against, like
right, Kenegdo against,
against, right? But Kenegdo for him, not for her, because we're perfect. Okay, no, seriously, we come complete, but men come very incomplete. So when the arguments start, we're usually right. They're usually wrong, but we have to experience the disconnect in order to reconnect, in order to create a more perfect man. Because in the Torah, I think it actually says a woman doesn't necessarily have to marry, but a man, he needs a partner, specifically to get to his shalom place in the world.
Like you're always so put together.
That's true.
Looking 100%
Gorgeous.
Drop dead gorgeous.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's my survival tip as a mom for myself, because I've been a stay-at-home mom, and my babies were home for the first 2 years almost the first 2 years of life. And being at home, it's like draining, and you also, you don't need to go and get dressed. So sometimes it's really fun, and you're just at home, and you can wear pajamas or whatever. Then you just don't feel good. You really don't.
Right.
You feel so slobby, and it just makes such a difference. There are days when you wake up and you just feel like tired, your energy's not, those days.
Right.
And then I just mope around the house. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a really bad day. I feel it. And then I'm like, no. And then I go upstairs and I get dressed and I put on my makeup. And then my husband's like, where are you going? I'm like, nowhere. Nope. I have arrived at the destination. Not going anywhere.
I love that.
I'm just here.
I love those days.
And it makes such a difference. And I saw it. It was like, it's like automatic. Or like you don't feel good and then you have to go out of the house and you go out and then you forgot that you didn't feel good.
Right.
And it's like an automatic switch. Totally. So I'm like, okay, enough of this. I want to feel good. And And it makes all the difference. So if this is going to be my office during the time, in life.
It's like makeup therapy.
Yeah. Yes. So it's makeup and it's getting dressed and feeling good about yourself.
Right.
And when the kids come home and they see you all, and you don't look good, then that's exactly the way that they relate to you. And it's like respecting yourself.
They do mirror that. They do.
Yeah. And I want my boys, thank God I have 5 boys. I want them to see, and what our kids see, that's the kala and that's the khatan that our kids are looking for. I want them to see a beautiful woman, that's what a mom looks like. That's what, not someone who doesn't take care of themselves. Right. And it's like an aesthetic thing. Yeah. And it's like a subconscious thing. Our girls go to who her dad more, looks like. And that's what the boys do. And it's really important. It's not.
Yeah. So is that what drives you every morning when you're spending like the 10 minutes doing your makeup? It's like, I am putting on like the motherhood character that I want to be in front of my kids. Like, I'm putting on my
No,
like,
first
what's
of all,
driving
it's for
you?
myself.
Because it takes dedication.
Yes, it does. No, first I feel good about myself. Yeah. And I respect myself that I'm doing that. And it's important for me to take care of myself. I want my kids to know that it's important to take care of themselves, to put on their skincare, to put on whatever it is. You need to take care of yourself. And when you respect yourself, your kids will respect you and your spouse will respect you. And they know that you're someone who respects their time, their body, everything, and it is a priority for me. Some people will say it's such a waste of time, such a waste of money.
Oh, no.
I say, no, we live once. And I want to look good and I want to feel good. 100%. And it makes a really big difference. It really does.
Yeah. Right. Melissa, do you have any words on the things that you do to make yourself feel beautiful?
Oh, to feel beautiful. Yes. I mean, even during COVID, I remember I was going bored out of my mind. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. So I started creating. I had all these crazy outfits. I've always been into like vintage, and also like I have a lot of like pieces in my closet. And I remember during COVID, every day I would put on a different outfit, and I would literally walk around my house in the outfit, and I would also post on Instagram just to make people laugh. But really it was for my sanity, because I think when you're in your pajamas like I am today on a rainy day, like it's not always 100% foolproof.
Special time of pajamas.
Yeah. And it also makes my husband happy because it's his, and I don't know.
Things you do for a happy marriage.
I know. Look like a schlump. No, my husband would prefer I look like a schlump and wear a Temu and get dressed up in expensive, nice clothes. But that's besides the point. But I do try often, especially on Shabbos, even if we're not going out, I try to look like I'm respecting myself, and also like I'm respecting Shabbat. So I make everybody in the family, even if we're not going out, like we have to like look good and feel good.
It really affects totally
the energy around,
and that's
the atmosphere.
And that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to have Shabbat clothes. And I've had like my kids come to me and they're like, we're not going anywhere. You're not going to show. Why are you so dressed up? Why did you? I say, first of all, it's halacha. Yeah. You're supposed to have bigdei Shabbat. You're supposed to change out of your clothes. You're supposed to shower for Shabbat. Yeah. And it's like Hashem knew that like he needs to teach people. Some people will be inclined to do that naturally. Right. Some people won't. They really won't, and they don't feel that. And it's like Hashem is totally, giving us the tips for life that we're living by.
Totally.
Because it makes a difference. It really does. And you brought back the Shabbat table. I have to say that I've had talks with other moms that have a lot of kids around the table, and you always have like this dream of what the Shabbat table is going to look like. And then when you get there, it doesn't ever look like the dream that you wished of, because there are always kids fighting and bickering, and this one wants to sit next to you and this one wants to sit next to them, and this one's making faces and they're blocking each other so they won't look at each other. And there's always something going on. And the only thing that keeps us sane at that moment is looking at each other. I just look at my husband. I'm like, got this. I hold his hand and he makes kiddush, and I'm like, we got this. And we just look at each other, and I'm like, just look at me. And then they're fighting, and I'm like, they're blocking each other, and like, I mean, a war. And I'm like, we're here. Look at me. And I'm like, just do kiddush. And we laugh through it, and then somehow it stops, Wow. But like, it just the focus is on us instead of the focus on them. So I always tell my husband, I'm like, it's either we let them lead the way, or we're going to lead the way. Yes. We decide. And it's so easy to let them lead the way, and they drive you crazy.
When you look at each other, it's like you're up against the world. Like you're up against the war.
It really does sound like war. We just had war. So is that what I have to look forward to with my kids also?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a war.
That's part of the chaos.
And when they get older, it's like a bigger war.
That's why I tell you, the chaos is never gonna. It's like, thank God, it's a bracha.
Yeah.
But it's not easy. Right. It's not easy. Right. And we went to our Rav, and we told him, like, Friday night is so hard. What do you do? And he's like, whoever told you that the mitzvah of parenting is easy? Did anyone tell you that?
Right.
There are mitzvahs that are easy. There are mitzvahs that are difficult. And guess what? Parenting your kids is not easy. And it's a difficult mitzvah. It's really hard. And it just makes us better people to refine ourselves, our midot.
My rabbi always says, Melissa, did you get married because it was going to be fun? Did you have children for fun? No, going on roller coasters are fun. You do it because it's meaningful, it's purposeful, and it's really hard work.
Yeah, we're supposed to grow because the purpose is growing.
Yes. So what else do you do to keep the flame alive?
So I also want to say
we work out together.
Sorry. No, I was going to say exercise. For me, my exercise is my sanity.
Yeah.
And anytime that I don't exercise, it's like I feel such a difference. Sometimes my husband even tells me, he's like, so Hanukkah, you're going to go out and exercise? Do you want to go for a walk? Are you going to go for a run now? Are you going to go for a run now? Like, you know, and I think that exercise is whether you do it together. Also, when you do it together.
So we started running together. My husband's been running all the time. So we used to take walks and whatever. But life with little kids is different than without. So now I don't have anyone at home with me, and it's just us after 8:00. And we started running together. So it was like in the end of the summer, we started running together and doing these things together. Like you mentioned, it's something that's yours. It's a whole world. And when you build something together, because life gets mundane and boring, and you need new things to keep things exciting. So it's working out together, and you can pick whatever your sport is or anything. We also went. I got a gun license, so we went to the shooting range together.
Fun.
So it's just different things that are out of the ordinary, out of the boring, mundane routine.
What's it like shooting next to your husband?
Well, you also feel like you're the shit.
No,
you're like, be careful.
There aren't any times where you think you're going to shoot him because like you're in an argument.
No, I don't think that. But when you're there,
look what this is capable
when the other men over there are like, your wife really knows how to shoot. I'm like, don't mess with me. You saw I know how to shoot.
All right. Different
adds a little bit.
I was too inside the experience when I was shooting next to my husband. Like we only did it once when we were both getting our license, but I was like, I was scared out of my own life. I was like, don't talk to me. But like
the first time is scary.
Okay, I guess
when we
the
went again,
time, it could be kind of
you
sexy.
can go again, and it's like, it's fun, sexy, and I'm telling you got the.
Melissa's gonna be getting her gun license tomorrow.
You gotta get the spice.
I have my gun license, but I'm such a bad shot, so I did not.
You didn't pass?
I mean, I passed. I got it. But I never bought the gun. I was like, I'm ADD. I would totally forget it, like leave it on a table. Chas v'shalom, my kids would get to it. So I was like, this is not good. If something happens where like I'm in chas v'shalom a situation, I'm not the one you want shooting the person. No way.
Okay. You'll find other ways to connect to your husband.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we have to bring this back that we're laughing now. Yeah. That's another thing. Laughing and being sarcastic is like the biggest tool that gets us through things. Yeah. So we look at each other and either I'm alone or we look at each other and I'm like, we're either going to laugh now or we're going to cry. Pick. Like you have to laugh through things and add sarcasm inside in life because otherwise you just like, you don't always have to think of, and the kids ask you why do I have to do it? Because I said so. Why? Yeah. If you say something funny at that moment instead of saying something in a place from anger, it just works so much better.
Yeah, John Gottman has a whole research on this. He says that couples that bring in humor into their arguments are a lot more likely to to come back to themselves and reconnect.
Yeah. The only advice I have, which has gotten me into a lot of trouble, and also my husband, is that we sometimes make fun of our kids. We laugh like in their faces about certain things, and they're really sensitive. So like I would suggest, like even though it was to we enjoyed it, we got a lot of and it connected us at their expense. Like I wouldn't suggest it.
So we do that, but they get a good laugh out of it. Like they're less. I hope they're less sensitive, but we get a good laugh out of each other, and it's just like funny. I'm like, you need to know how to laugh at yourself, also. So there've just been times when you need the family to get a good laugh. I know that a lot of parents will tell me that it's totally wrong.
Right.
But to each his own.
Yeah, I have to bite myself every time I want to laugh at my son's face. It's just, I can't. It's going to break his heart. But
he's still little.
But inside, I'm cracking myself up. It's the best. It's the best. Yeah. Amazing. So we said humor, date nights, routine. Take it easy.
Making him the king and you're the queen. Doing things out of routine, we said. And another thing that I didn't mention is never going against each other's words in front of the kids.
Right.
We're always, and I've seen this in other homes where like both of the parents, like you feel like there are two entities ruling the household. And the kids feel that, and they go inside the cracks, and they know there's a crack between the parents, and their whole life is just going, ooh, where am I going to go in between the cracks when there's one on top? Obviously, I have my opinions, and my husband has his own, and we're very different people. But when the kids know that the house is run from one place, one hashkafa, one rule, there's one direction, that gives them the safety, and they know. And even when we argue in front of them, they always know, like, first of all, they see us, getting along and making up and going through the whole argument in a healthy way. But to not go against each other's words in front of them.
Right.
Because that just like totally, if you want to be the king and the queen, you don't do that.
Right.
And the kids totally like see that disrespect.
Right. We don't have a lot of time left, but let me ask you just a question. Like, if a couple is really different in their hashkafa, let's say one is more religious than the other, how do you find the common ground in front of the kids? But
you don't find it in front of the kids. You do behind closed doors. When you come in front of the kids, you have to put on a show. And sometimes you don't say anything, or if someone slips and like we say something and we're like, we didn't decide that. We need to decide together. So it's like when big decisions happen, like when are our kids going to get our first phone, or are we going to watch TV or things like that? Those things need thought. You need to think it through. And it's not something that spontaneously you're going to answer, oh, can I get a phone? Oh, sure. No, you might not are going to talk about it. You might not are going to decide.
I would agree. Like everything. Yeah. Oftentimes when my husband and I are about to like argue about something, or I know like the kids triggered something where my husband says one thing and I know it's going to be something else. I'm like, actually, mommy and daddy have to discuss that later. And then he gets the hint. Yes, we're going to discuss it later. So
and we'll let you know.
On the same page. Because when they, like you said, when they see the cracks, they're going to go in through those cracks and try to not self-sabotage, but they're going to use it to their advantage to get their way.
They manipulate their way through, and then it causes the worst fights are the fights that parents have because of the kids.
Yes.
Those are the worst fights, because you're like torn between your kids and him, and it's just not fun. Those are the arguments that are not fun. Like you told him and you made him feel like that. It's the place where you want to prevent going. So we say, we're going to make a decision. We're going to discuss this. And we know, and they know, like, Ima and Abba, and they know Ima and Abba, it's one. And they know, like, that just makes the difference.
Right. Okay. Wow. I feel like I got so much from these words of wisdom that you have.
I think we all, moms
as well.
I think women always have tips to share for.
Also, something I learned about my husband is that his biggest thing is respect. He always needs to feel respected. Like when he walks through the door, and I always make sure whatever I'm doing on my phone, whatever I'm doing, like I stop and this is like, and when I don't, I know in my head I should have, but maybe I'm like a little bit bothered. So it's a little bit of whatever, passive aggressiveness, but oftentimes I try to stop what I'm doing, whether it's being on the phone. My husband just got home. I want him to feel acknowledged, like he didn't just spend his whole day working for nothing. And then I walk to him, give him his kiss hello, get him a glass of water, because I know that's the first thing he needs when he walks through the door. And something that I recently learned that my father told me about my grandmother, who's a Holocaust survivor, is that, and my grandfather was her second husband because her first was killed in the war, was that whenever he was a carpenter, and so he was on his feet all day, whenever he would come home through the door, she would sit with like a hot bucket of water and like massage his feet. Now, I think that's a little extreme, and I probably would never do that for my husband. But what I learned from that was the feeling of love and respect, that when you walk through the door, you're the most important thing. And the kids feel that.
That's really important.
What taught me how to be a wife is that we learned in this year, like right when we got married, said real love is giving the other person what they need.
Yeah.
Not what you think they need or what you want or what you think they want. You have to figure out, and really knowing the other person and getting to what they need and giving them that. That's the real love. And it's with the kids and with our spouses.
Yeah.
So I just want to make a bracha. We all merit to know and really sense what it is our partners need.
Amen.
And to give it to them in a place of deep love.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.